Hi, I'm Nicole and this is day 2 of Sewing for My Future Kids. Let's get right into it. There's a lot to do. Yesterday we left off on creating the little duck embroidery, if you remember or saw my last video. And I still couldn't decide whether I would make it in like the white thread or in like the yellow. And I think I ended it saying that I might try a darker shade of the blue. White, you can not really see it as much on this fabric. And then the yellow, it's a bit too bright. I want something a little bit more monotone, I guess. Now the French seam we also practiced last video, so if you want to go see that, go check that one out. I'm gonna go ahead and first change out the thread on my machine to this one. The bobbin color doesn't really matter that much because it's on the inside. The gray thread that's currently on my machine isn't too different. I think it will look okay. We'll see. So I gotta do that. I'm gonna test it out on like a little scrap piece. I cut this one yesterday from the neck hole of the slip. I think I'm gonna put 3 ducklings on the front. So I really wanna practice placing like the starting point and that being very accurate. Once I've mastered that, I think I'll just go ahead and start marking where I'm gonna be placing it on the actual fabric. Then we will go into how to cut the bias tape for this area for the neck part, and I believe also the sleeve part requires bias tape, so we'll get into doing that. I think that's all I'm going to be able to do today, so let's get right to it. I'm going to first mark my fabric here. I'm going to mark where I want the 3 ducklings to be. So for my previous fabric or sample, I think each duckling is about 1/2 inch from start to finish. So start stitch, finishing stitch. Therefore, I'm gonna just make sure that I have about 1.5 inches of space. And I'll probably make 2 rows. Last video I mentioned that I'm gonna do it in tension 3. So I'm gonna try that first after changing the thread to this. This might be a little bit different. I'm not sure how my fabric is gonna react to this one. So yeah, we'll see. So I'm just gonna mark 3 starting points to create 3 rows, and then we'll see how well I can do in terms of getting it where I want it. That's really important because I want it to be right in the middle of the front. Let's just see what we can do. So this is what we have, and now I'm gonna change the thread. So remember that when I change the thread, when you change the thread, it's always smart to start from taking out the bottom, like that. That just makes sure that no dust gets stuck within the machine in here. I want to keep that part as clean as possible. This is my thread. I'm going to be placing it here. So there we go. Place this under the foot. This is my foot F from my machine, which is my embroidery foot. So I think this is pretty good. I'm gonna put you guys a little bit closer so you can actually see what is going on. Here, I have my fabric. I'm gonna turn my machine on, and now I have to recall what it is that I did last time when I was putting in the code here. I believe it was something like dot memory 766 memory dot memory. I think that's what it was, but we'll see. Okay, so now I'm gonna align it. I don't know if you guys see this from a closer view. And I'm gonna put my presser foot down where the arrow is pointing. There's a little arrow on my foot, which I'm assuming that's just indicating the start point of the needle. So I'm gonna try and align it with that and let it start sewing. Now, what I just realized is that I forgot that this makes the design vertically, and so my duck is in the wrong position. Okay, this looks really cute though. Look at that. I think we did good with aligning it. that was pretty good. But yeah, it's in the wrong position. So I'm going to make a new little cross and start there. This is the way you want to place the duck. Align it with that arrow. Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start sewing. I think this worked out pretty well. I'm just gonna go ahead and make all 3, so 2 more. And this is the 3rd one. So I just lift my presser foot and then put it back down. It'll automatically stop for me. So just to resume it, I have to click it again. And then you guys can be the judge of how this looks. So I think it's pretty good. Look, this was my little crosshatch. You can see that was the starting point, so that aligned pretty well. And then these are the 3 duckies. But I do think that the tension is still too high. I'm not sure if this is like the fabric is puckering a bit. I'm gonna try with a tension of 2 and see how that goes. This is tension 2. This one up here is tension 3. That's the back of tension 3 and tension 2. I'm still trying to figure this out, how to be the judge of the right tension, because you can kind of see that specifically on this thread. I don't know, you see how it's lifting? It's not on the fabric. Yeah, I think it should be closer to the fabric. If you can tell on number 3, it's closer, but it's still lifting a tiny bit. Let's try a tension of 5, because I already tried a tension of 4 previously on this one. And if we were to judge how well this lies on it, it also kind of lifts a bit. But then when, I don't know, well, let's just try it. I don't think I like tension 5. I don't know, something happened to the face of the duck where it's just way too tight. See, this one was the first one. This one was tension 3. Because I did that one wrong. But it came out the best. But you can definitely see all the details of it, right? You see it there. But then you go to tension 5 and I don't know, the duck looks mad or angry. So I'm gonna leave it with tension 3. Tension 4 has too much of this loose thread here. And it's too tight. So I'm gonna go with tension 3 again. So now that we figured that part out, I am going to figure out how I'm gonna make it like a, see how this was 2 fabrics? I feel like if I attempt sewing just 1 layer, it might be too thin. Like, let's just try it. I hope it might be okay. And then the tension might have to definitely be higher. So I'm gonna leave it at a 5 and test it out. But it just doesn't get stuck. So you guys can see it. But let's take a look at how it looks. So it works, but it's not my favorite. I don't know if you see it. It might relax a little more if you wash it and all that, but specifically in the beak is kind of not very distinguishable. There's a few things we can do that might work out a little better and it might look nice too. But if you get like a darker, since this is so translucent, I can get like a darker fabric, a darker blue, which I do have, and then overlay it and then do the embroidery and then just cut a little bit of it out, and it should give kind of like a more depth effect. Here, let me show you. And I'm gonna just cut a little bit out. Honestly, this should be big enough, but I'll just cut diagonally a little more. See how when you stack them, up like that, you can see the blue a little bit more. So it's very subtle, but it's a very cute effect. What I'm gonna do is try and just sew a duck on it with this. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna lower the tension back to 3 since it is like 2 fabrics now. It's a little bit thicker, so maybe a tension of 2, but for now let's do 3. Start. And I could also just double layer the same fabric, now that I think about it. But a stronger blue will give like a more depth. Yeah, that's the word. More depth to the embroidery. So let's take this off now. You see it? That's how the back looks. So I'm gonna cut all around it. It looks a lot better in shape than these. You can kind of see the shadowy effect it's giving. Not sure if this is going to be irritating too. It's not like super bulky or like itchy. Okay, so I thought about it and I'm going to try it with the same fabric. Even though that's technically like replicating this, but I just want to see what the difference is, if there is any, just side by side. So I'm going to be doing that. Take this and place it right underneath. So this is how it looks on the back. And I'm just gonna now cut out, I guess, the fabric. You kind of see the square. Maybe, I don't know, on my end where the light is filtering in, you can see it. So let me show you. So you see it there, definitely, right? Try and cut this out. I'm gonna try and cut it out as close to the embroidery as possible. How does that look for you guys? I'm gonna have to check this video because I can't really tell which one I like more. This is what we got. I don't know, I think I might have to do like a little executive decision here because it's hard to really decide. I think I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna make the darker one. The other one's actually not bad either because if you look at it, it's like slightly lighter, like brighter, like it's 3D too. I can see more of the details in the face area of the duck versus not adding a darker fabric. Okay, I think I'm gonna do this one. I think it coincides more with what I was visualizing. Okay, now I'm gonna clear up this mess here. Okay, so I'm going to open this up, get my fabric ready for where I want to be placing the little duckling, or the line of ducklings. So this is my midline, which is definitely very helpful. I'm going to be marking the middle area for this. Okay, so this is now centered with my fold. I'm going to draw a 1.5 inch line. This is 2 inches, right? So 1.5 divided by 2 is 0.75. So 3/4 of an inch on each side. So if we remember, this is 1, 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. It should start here. 1, 2, 3. It should end here. So let's just draw a straight across line, approximately. So there. But wait, hold on. I need to remember that I need a back piece. This should work. Now I need I guess I'm considering this the front of my fabric. It's also quite important knowing what the front and the back is of your fabric. So I'm just gonna go with that. This is the front. And I'm gonna place that piece of scrap fabric on the back here. Place this right there. I think I'm satisfied with where this is placed right now. So I'm just gonna use the pressure of the presser foot to hold it down. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my sewing machine now and start sewing. I don't really want to add too much tension to it either. I finished the first duck. I'm gonna put it a little faster. Okay, and now I'm gonna do the, let's see, let me get you guys closer. I'm gonna do the third duck. Okay, I'm hoping it's not lopsided, but You can kind of see it, right? Do you see it? Let me grab my scissor and cut the top threads. I think I'm happy with the results. You guys ready for a little reveal? How's that? It's like almost an 1/8 of an inch higher than my line, so I'm okay with that. The duck is like almost centered, I would say. I'm going to cut it now. And there's just a little square around the area to remove the excess fabric. There. I'll figure this out a little bit more later, but for now, you can just keep it like this. Like that. Now from the front, you can see the square, which not bad, but I'd probably want to cut into it so you don't see the square as much and it just looks like just like a little duckling like this one. I just cut it a little bit more off camera because that was going to take way too long. I didn't know if I should cut in here, but I figured I shouldn't. Less is more approach on that, and it looks like that, so I think it's looking better. I like that. Now let's go do the bias tape. I grab the pattern again because I need to remember or find out how much bias tape I need to cut, and I know it said it in here in the instructions, so let's open this up. Instructions are quite interesting, and I say that because sometimes it's like nobody proofread them and it's missing steps. I don't know if that's just this pattern specifically or just a lot of the old patterns back in the day. So I have a lot of questions when I was going through this. So bias facing. It says, cut fabric for back shoulder facing the shape of the back shoulder to within a 1/4 inch beyond small O's. Stitch under a 1/4 inch on the edge. Okay, so that's for a facing, which I might have to do. Let's just focus on the bias tape right now. Baste a bias facing strip to armhole and neck edges in the 5/8 inch seam, extending ends over facing. Stitch as basted in 5/8 inch seam, stitching back shoulder edge. Okay, so yeah, I don't understand it unless I like take the time to slow down and break it down. I know it has like cutting notes. Let me show you what I'm reading. It says the bias facing for the slip, which is what I'm making. It says cut remnants of 1 3/8 inch wide. It doesn't tell me what length I'm going to be using, but I'm going to cut them to a 1 3/8 inch. Let me grab my fabric here. So here I have my fabric. What we gotta do is select a portion. Maybe this portion, but it's bias, so here's a lesson on bias tape. Bias tape is basically the trim that you're gonna put around a garment. So you see it has like a little trim. So bias tape means that you're gonna get your fabric and you're gonna find the bias of your fabric. Bias is the diagonal. It's like another name for the diagonal of the fabric. But the cool thing about it, and the reason why it's so important to do it on the diagonal of the fabric, is that the diagonal of the fabric is the stretchiest part of the fabric. Now if you try and do the stretch on a part of the fabric that's just horizontal and vertical, it's very difficult to do. You have to take advantage of that, because if we're going to start putting things on the neck of stuff, meaning there is a curve that we have to go around, the stretchiness will come to our advantage. So we're going to cut the bias tape at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to get my ruler, and luckily that ruler that I showed earlier has 45-degree angle lines, which will be easy to figure out where the 45 is. So if I'm going to match it up, I'm going to match it up right here to the bottom edge, and I'm going to just place it on top like this. I'm just going to measure 1 3/8 from there. So let's take this off. Let's try this way instead. 1 3/8. So here. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna draw my line. Although I should have done it twice as wide just because I need 2. for each armhole. So 1 3/8 there. Okay, here we go. Now let's just go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so I pressed it, and look how fun this is. This is bias tape. See how stretchy it is? It's very useful. So we're going to take advantage of that stretch like that to put it around our neck and armholes. I'm going to cut this right in half so we have 2 strips. I'm going to just do that off camera because you guys already saw the process. I finished cutting the 3rd bias tape. So I have 3, 1 for the front neck. I think I can divide it into 2, like 1 piece into 2, so for the front and the back. But if I can't, then I'll just cut more. But I have 3 pieces now, so these are the 1 3/8 inch bias tape. So that's what I did today. Tomorrow I'll be adding, I don't know if I should, I guess the next step is adding the bias tape. I need to do these shoulder seams. And I know that the front one I need to fold over. So more so like this, right? Like that. So I think we'll work on that tomorrow. Because the last thing would be the French seam, just French seaming these and then creating the hem, which the hem is relatively simple. So yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do tomorrow, and that is all. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for tomorrow's video. And make sure to subscribe, because I'll be posting every day. So yeah, see ya!